So in my previous attempt to test my theory on ethylene increasing the biosynthesis of mescaline, I chose a single columnar seedling and I split it in half. But this time I'll be using a single seedling. This is the same clone and it has two different heads, so it's easier. I'll be separating 10 inches so that I could leave at least an areola on the top portion so that it pops up here. Or I could probably yeah, actually I'll be cutting down here and then I'll measure out an equal weight. So this time around I'll still be testing the ethylene theory, but instead of providing extraneous ethylene by either using apples or another fruit, or using calcium carbide to release the ethylene substitute, which is equivalent almost, I'll be doing a different method. I'll be submerging one of them in water completely. So the flooding simulation would cause an ethylene increase, and the ethylene would accumulate. Since it's going to be submerged completely, the ethylene won't be able to escape, and in theory it should increase the alkaloid biosynthesis. So again, all of this is a theory. The first attempt that I did, it did show very promising results, but since my extraction wasn't the most refined, I had an issue with the salting and the weighing. In this case, I still may have issues weighing this small of an amount of the extract, but I'll do my best to extract as best as possible so that at least visually I'll have a visual representation, and I'll go from there. So I'll be leaving this one of them as the control, the other one submerged. I'll be leaving it 7 to 10 days, since I do think there is a peak to the biosynthesis of the alkaloids through the ethylene mechanism. There will be a certain threshold where the excess ethylene will just cause senescence, where it's the death of the cells, and I don't want to reach that point. It's similar to a fruit ripening. You would leave it, but there's a certain point where if you don't harvest it or consume it, it'll just rot. So I don't want to overshoot it. The last attempt I did 2 weeks. I'm going for 7 to 10 days. If it shows a promising result, the following attempt I'll do both submerged, and I'll do different time to see if there's a peak harvesting or a peak stressing period. So yeah, this is a seed-grown Bridgesi. This was originally with the idea of girdling to see if there's any benefit. There wasn't any negative side effect, but there wasn't any benefit either. The size is pretty close to unharvested and uncut Bridgesi. Its biomass is actually a bit higher considering the flesh, but the thickness may vary. And yeah, I'll be cutting it, and this is going to be the second attempt at testing the ethylene as a method to increase the biosynthesis of mescaline. Alright, so here's the post-harvest cut up. They're approximately 10.5 inches each. One of them measures 217 grams, and the other 206 grams. So for submerging, I'll be using the submerging experiment. I'll be using the lighter cutting for the experiment, and the heavier one will be the control. So it's 217 for the control and 206 for the experiment. These I'll just be saving. And just a side note, the harvested flesh, the inner flesh is very green. It doesn't have that excess white flesh that's common. So the alkaloid profile may be slightly different for this. So there isn't as much as this for the white flesh. But yeah, these are just scraps I'll be saving. And yeah. So this is the vessel I'll be using for the submerging. I left some room since it'll displace the water when I place it in. And I'll just need to make sure that it's completely submerged from the entire body to the tip. I did not allow this to callus any amount, so I need to add some water. And I can cover this with an inverse cap. That'll probably just fall through, yeah, so that there isn't any excess water loss through evaporation. So, wow, that's pretty cool. You can see a shimmer from the hydrophobic flesh. The color is a very nice shimmer. And yeah, I'll be leaving this for 7 days, maybe 10. This will just be a normal cutting I'll leave exposed to similar conditions. I generally am more in favor of leaving it in a light and heat stress over the darkness. Some people prefer it a dark cabinet or something. Either way is fine. Again, this is the control. I don't have another method for doing that. And this will be the ethylene experiment. Using, rather than supplementing with ethylene, I'll be preventing I'll prevent the escape of ethylene and an accumulation of it. So I added a weight, a glass bottle with water so that there's a weight, and you can already see there's some gases trapped, whether that's already ethylene or if it's oxygen, I have no idea, but that's the idea. I will now leave this, and in the future, if this proves any success, I may also add black peppercorn, a few seeds, and see if that does anything whatsoever. This experiment can always have more variations. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible just to test the theory on ethylene alone. This cutting will produce ethylene regardless, but since it'll be in an open environment, the ethylene should escape and it won't accumulate as much as with this one. So here's the testing the theory, and I'll check this out in a week.